what's that song from Texas? Like the in the heart of Texas.
Yeah, deep in the heart of Texas.
How's that go? So Steven just came back from deep in the heart of Texas, Austin, Texas, to be exact, and it's starting to become like a tiki destination. I know I've heard of. There's a place in San Antonio called Hangmen's Oasis that looks really, really good. I think Bamboo Bed did the build out of that. I think Ken Pleasant's Wicco styled stools are there, but a tiki bar opened up in Austin, Texas. And it has an Asian theme to it.
Yeah, Japanese primarily, but
Japanese.
Yep.
And what is the name of the what? So
Tiki Tatsu-Ya.
Tatsu-Ya. And you went there.
Yeah, and I went there. Yeah.
And we live up in the Pacific Northwest, so Austin, Texas isn't very far. It's very far away from us. So it's a big deal that you went down there.
Yeah. Well, my sister lives there, so as I get to visit family, I get.
Okay, did you play that up? It's like.
And I have a place to crash.
Sister, I love you so much. I want to come down to visit you because I feel that family is important. Oh, Steve, well, that's great. Well, while I'm there, I'm going to...
Can you drive me 2 nights to the tiki bars and you and your fiancé will accompany me one each night? Tatsu-Ya is a founder of ramen bars in Houston and in Austin, primarily in Austin. The Tatsu-Ya brand name is really well known throughout the U.S. as one of the best ramen and Japanese-influenced barbecue restaurants, and it brings a lot of Japanese flavors and character to the food, and it's excellent food.
Okay.
His brother, who's his business partner, had lived in Los Angeles and said, we should be doing a tiki bar. And I think presented the idea to him, let's say in 2014, and Tatsu does everything right. And so they did apparently a bunch of research. They hired from 3 Dots and a Dash in Chicago, Corey Starr, who I got to meet with and talk about the drinks, to become their bar manager. Their staff is either knowledgeable about mixing and the history of tiki drinks, or is very eager to talk about rum drinks and learn about tiki.
Yeah.
They must have gone to a lot of the great tiki bars, probably pre-COVID, because they've been building this place out, I think, for 3 years maybe. Cool. It's just a long-term build. They use a whole host of people to help them. Lighting specialists, construction specialists, design specialists. Tony Canepa was one of the artists who contributed both a mug we'll talk about and menu design art and a lot of art in some of the design. So, and they just did it up right. The bar is really kind of 2 bars. They took what used to be
2 floors.
2 floors, okay. And the top one used to be I think kind of a roof, semi-enclosed, and they enclosed that and made that into a tiki bar with a Japanese flair. There's a booth with a blue tie-dye Japanese cloth and with some Benihana mugs and 8 fugu, pufferfish, overhead. And so you feel like you're in a little Japanese restaurant enclosure. Classic Japanese art along with the tiki. And then there's a whole 17-minute backstory you can read on their listen to on their website that seeks to explain and integrate all the elements of the bar. And then when you go downstairs, the bar is a long, somewhat narrow cave.
Oh, like a cave.
Like a cave. So if Last Rites in San Francisco meets the ceiling of False Idol in San Diego, meets the light shows, when certain drinks are brought out that you would see at Trader Sam's or even a Hale Pele or a number of restaurants. Yeah. But it's got its own unique feel to it, and it's anchored by a shisha, an Okinawan dog sculpture that keeps away evil spirits, essentially. And it's an amazing looking sculpture that they have. And there's a fountain from the top level. And that's the one thing that ties the two together. There's sort of an atrium with a fountain. But otherwise, it feels almost like two unique bars. And the star of the show is the downstairs, because the cave, you walk in there and you go, okay, this feels like a tiki bar, but it's also the cavernousness of it, the way they did it. There's another booth that represents a former Japanese trading ship, where you look out onto a volcano on this, because you're in an unnamed island where this cave is. There's skulls in the back. So it's got elements that, and even one of the areas, almost a booth in the cave, has in a niche mugs from Trader Vic's, Trader Dick's, Tiki Tea. So it pays homage to classic tiki in terms of doing their work. Another niche has some Suffering Bastard mugs in it. And, others has Japanese art. There's tiki carvings behind the bar, and if you look carefully, you'll see carvings that are just unique to this bar, along with more typical tiki carvings on there. Little Easter eggs in there. They went all out. And spending money on a new place doesn't guarantee success. But they did their homework, and they did it right, in my estimation. And then in hiring bartenders who are very knowledgeable, and Corey Starr has been able to. He worked in Four Seasons in Hawaii, and then he was Three Dots and a Dash manager. And Three Dots and a Dash. Now, I've gone there. I haven't been there in over 5 years, but about the time he was manager, I was there. And the infusion, what they do is they take classic cocktails there, and they would infuse a lot of different ingredients. And that's what Corey and his team on the drinks have done, is take Japanese, something called sochu. We're drinking that in this drink we have here as well as like a yuzu lager, which also happens to be snuck into this drink. I was influenced by them.
A lot of flavors going on.
A lot of flavors going on. A lot of influences. This is we're drinking what I call the stripper's mistake, the wardrobe malfunction. It is Strip and Go Naked, which is a gin and beer drink. Three Dots and a Dash uses a Hawaiian Pog IPA, which I happen to like, but other people, including Heidi, found was a little too bitter. So I switched to a yuzu lager. Also a little bit of a Blair's Mistake, which is influenced by a Ray's Mistake, because we've got passion fruit going on, and we've got the B.G. Reynolds Circus Peanut Syrup, your favorite.
I love the Circus Peanut Syrup.
And I was joking at the beginning about the Karuba Float, but the Karuba Float, because the alcohol, although there's gin and the sochu in it, it's pretty potent, but it doesn't pack. It's very subtle. And the Karuba on top just ties the drink together. Some bitters. And so I have a Strip and Go Naked along with the Blair's Mistake. So we have the Stripper's Mistake.
Stripper's Mistake.
But I'm glad you said you found it very, very drinkable.
I like it.
Oh, good.
I like it a lot. The thing that I'm liking about this tiki bar is they talk about exotic and exotica, right? Mm-hmm. And back at the beginning of all this, like in the mid-century, there was a fascination with the exotic.
Yeah.
And there was like three main areas: the South Pacific, Polynesia, Morocco, which is like Egypt, and the Orient. And these were like the three exotic places. And hence, like if you buy any of the Martin Denny Exotica albums, you're going to hear songs that touch on each of those themes. And what I love about this is it's a bar that's combining two of these exotic themes together and knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. And what I like about it is they take the Japanese roots and the Japanese cuisine that the restaurant is famous for and infuse it in there. And you and I will probably talk on other episodes, and you and I have talked off camera about, Chinese food, tiki, and how the two have been conflated. But Japanese specifically, and backstory of Japanese explorers in Pacific Islands as opposed to European explorers, and the drinks infused with these Japanese. There's also tangerine in here, which is something that Corey, I noticed, uses a lot in his drinks. Infusing the Japanese in there makes it unique. So it although they pay homage to and draw from a lot of tiki bars, they also put their own cultural spin on it. And that, especially when we get to my new favorite mug, and that really is just, I think, very clever. And so that's why there was one other mug I could have bought and maybe should have, but I've gotten some mugs from them, and I'm just happy to talk about them here today.
Well, let's talk about some of these mugs. Which one should we go
So let's start with this one. Tony Canepa,
Let me see this.
who is, of course, a friend of yours. And,
Tony Canepa is the man behind my logo.
he designed this one.
Tony used to live up here, and now he lives in Austin, Texas.
And
now he has a mug. And the cool thing is it's actually made by Monk Tiki, who is, Pacific Northwest. This is great.
And what's nice too on the back, I guess at the front, is this is I don't know if it's the Aikawa family symbol or the restaurant symbol, but this is the symbol they use at the bar. So I think it's a family crest of sorts that the Tatsu-Ya clan have adopted, or comes from their family lineage. And it's just, and there's coral here. There's a lot of detail. I even like the glaze. It's kind of a rougher glaze, although it's smooth in parts and rough in the other.
Oh, what I'm noticing.
Really well done.
Actually, as I'm looking, I didn't realize it's the Port Light mug.
Yeah, that's the drink they put into it.
And then but it's like the
light and
the octopus.
And in fact, if you look, really clever detail. Look at the tentacle bulging out of the light.
Watch out.
And so I have the menu here. So that they serve their version of a port light. They use bourbon, port, passion fruit, pomegranate, and lemon in their port light, which I think is the only drink I haven't tried of these mugs I have. I only had the only between my sister, her fiance, and I. We only tried 10 drinks.
Oh, that's all.
That's all. So thank goodness I didn't have to drive anywhere. And enjoyed them all. So a terrific mug. The other mug is that I have here is the brown version, and they also serve up a color version of the Daruma. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And a Daruma is a Japanese doll, and I have one here.
Did you get that at the tiki
bar? No. This is something I had, they're very popular in Japan. But what's interesting is you notice it has 2 blank eyes.
Yeah.
And what you do is when you have a wish or a goal that you're striving to, you fill in one eye, and then it sits on your desk or wherever as a reminder of your goal to keep you focused on your goal. When you achieve the goal or wish, you then mark completion by filling in the other eye. And so if you look at the mug, which is just an exquisite mug as well, and this is the brown glaze, and the color glaze matches these gold and red colors.
Oh.
Yeah, the colors are beautiful. They did a good job matching it. So you notice why this guy's winking.
So there's a goal that needs
to be accomplished.
So I guess for me that would be weight loss.
I was going to say drink the whole thing.
Drink the whole thing.
That's one of the So
is this a 2-man drink or a 1-man drink?
So they, according to their menu, it says serves 1 to 2.
1 to 2.
But and it's rum sochu, which is a Japanese distilled liquor, whereas sake's fermented. And sochu is actually more popular than sake in Japan, and we have sochu in the drink that I made up here. Apricot, Armagnac, a sherry, lemon, tangerine, which I also used in this drink, and the miso, almond, orgeat. So there's miso, which is a fermented bean paste, very kind of salty that they add to, at this bar, the orgeat and even the coconut. And I asked Corey Starr, the drink manager, hey, what's up with the miso? And he said, you add very subtle amounts. It's like adding salt or saline to a craft cocktail. And it just brings out the flavors. And in Japan, there's something called mouthfeel, that instead of just sweet and savory, it's umami. You may have heard of that in Japanese restaurants. And so that's the idea, is to bring out that kind of flavor. The drink, this drink serves 1 to 2, but as my sister who drank this said, there's plenty of ice in here, but more importantly, there's very drinkable. Corey wants to make sure that when he adds these Japanese ingredients, he isn't doing it just to make it exotic, but to make something unique. But he wants to make it accessible and drinkable to everybody. And my favorite mug, and it was one of my new favorite of all time mugs.
Looks like a suffering bastard to me,
Yeah.
but it looks like he's eating ramen.
So he's the slurping
The
bastard.
slurping bastard.
Yeah. So it is. So the classic suffering bastard, said to be the drink was invented in Egypt, has a hangover cure, very ginger flavored, and here they have even a ginger garnish you can eat, and then the drink has a very ginger finish. So if you like ginger, you'll love it. But it's a very gingery drink, and it's a very nice and heavy syrup drink. But what I love about it is they took the classic, Trader Vic's and others have made a suffering bastard. And because they're a Japanese ramen-inspired restaurant chain, he's slurping his bastard. And then I forget the name of the headband. It starts with an H in Japan, the classic, that Japanese chefs often wear. Yeah. There's a little symbol of Texas on top.
There you go.
So they have taken an iconic tiki mug and made it their own. And to me, again, that just emphasizes that fusion of the Japanese with the tiki.
Yeah.
And, I like to do it in drinks. I noticed Corey Starr, who designed this, but it says Corey Noku designed it. And I had to look up Noku, but I think that's one of the ways one might pronounce star in Japanese. And again, Monk Tiki did the production of this.
Oh, it's a Monk Tiki too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this one, they all are here. This one was designed by somebody named Ross. I should have figured out who that. And this is, we said, Tony Campbell.
Hey Ross, how's it going? You have a very beautiful mug.
One I didn't get that's available for purchase. I don't know if you can get it online, but is a green version of a cobra and a fist holding it, which is Cobra Kai. Because it's a cobra's fang, modified, and a Cobra Kai, of course, was the Karate Kid.
Does it say sweep the leg on it?
Yeah, I'm sure many people have said that when they order the drink. And that was my favorite drink because it was a Cobra Fang. It included overproof rum. It included rum fire. But
it has rum fire in it.
Yeah, but it did not. So I was making some Cobra Fang last night, and my first few forays just were, whoa, the rum fire, the overproof. I tried
it's a serious drink.
It uses Corey Starr uses a cousin of cachaça from Haiti, a pressed clarion, and I guess you call it almost a rice wine vodka from China, a Baoju, I think is how you pronounce it. I mean, he uses strong elements in the drink, and it's strong, and it comes across strong, but it is not overpoweringly bitter or too funky. So my hat off to him, because I'm still playing with my version of a Cobra's Fang inspired by him, and to get those harsher alcohol elements in more of a balance. He did a great job.
Well, that's the thing. But a more important question, though, Stephen, is if you were going to have a plural of Cobra Fang, what would that plural be? Say we were drinking a round of Cobra Fangs.
That's the way I'd say it.
Cobra's Fangs.
Cobra's Fang.
Cobra Fangs. Cobra Fang Eye.
Cobra Kai's. Oh, the Cobra Kai's too. I guess it'd be the Cobra Kai, right?
There's one last mug here.
There's one last mug because
Buddha?
It's a sumo wrestler.
It's a sumo wrestler.
And I am wearing my Japanese-inspired Hawaiian shirt with surfing sumos. And so the reason as I said, upstairs in the sort of Japanese, very traditional Japanese-inspired with the puffer fish, they use Benihana mugs, which I think are kind of underappreciated. They're very inexpensive. There's a lot of clever mugs. Benihana of Tokyo, although I think it was always an American company. And I don't know about you, but Benihana, if you could ever go to one in a big city when you were a kid, it used to be a big event.
Oh, it was a really
hibachi
big event. Of course.
Yeah. And so their white porcelain mugs are inexpensive. They're not considered that fancy, but they're Benihana down on the back. But I have one because, and you can tell by my shirt with the surfing sumos. So the excuse is Tatsu-Ya uses as decoration at Tiki Tatsu-Ya. However, mine is I just love sumo.
Yeah. I
love watching sumo. Sumo is a great sport. It's an American style attention span, or at least my short attention span, because the matches only last a few seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, a 1 minute, 60-second match is an eternity in the sport. It has Japanese rituals, Japanese culture and customs. So you learn a lot about traditional Japanese, even some of the religion.
Yeah.
And you just have these two humongous 400-pound gladiators thumping each other, but with a lot of muscle and a lot of skill and wrestling. And the greatest of all time in terms of most wins, Hakuho, just retired in 2020. And he was just amazing to watch. He, like a lot of the greats, are from Mongolia. I think his father was a Mongolian wrestler. And the Mongolians have taken well to go in Japan. But they have to learn Japanese language. They have to learn Japanese customs. They have to be fully inculcated into Japan before they could be accepted even as a sumo wrestler. But it was great to watch Hakuho, the greatest of all time, who, like I said, just retired. He won his last tournament. He won, I think, 44 or 45 tournaments, which is an unprecedented amount of tournaments. But
that's not him, though.
That's not him.
Is there a particular cocktail that's for this drink?
That's I'm not 100% sure. And in a different, I know.
Because you were saying that for each of these other mugs are certain drinks that go in.
Yeah, I don't know how Benihana does theirs. That's a good question. We should research that. But yeah, certainly at Tiki Tatsu-Ya, each one. So we got the port light, like you said, with the light and the octopus. The Daruma, the Influence of Suffering Bastard, the Cobra Kai is Cobra's Fang, and they have a Forbidden Grog, which is their a grog, both based on different Navy grogs, and they use a mug. They've got their own Mai Tai and zombie glasses. I love their zombie glass, which unfortunately I don't think it's for sale. So they do a great job of making sure that they have bespoke and unique glassware for each one, which is not a cheap proposition. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of bars that would love to have a unique custom-made glass or custom-made mug for every single signature drink, and we're talking, maybe a dozen at least.
No, but even the fact that they have even just these, I mean, or even if it's a handful, I think that's really cool. That's all things that I love about tiki bars. Creating a unique environment, a unique experience. It's like, ooh, if you want to drink out of this mug, you got to order that drink.
I'm going to top our drink with an extra Karuba float because I can. And it pulls this drink together, just like the Ray's mistake at Tiki Tatsu-Ya Karuba float. Cannot go wrong there, ladies and gentlemen.
I just think it's funny that you just have a bottle of Karuba dark rum just on the table just in case.